Okay, today we're going to learn how to use Google a little bit more effectively than how you would usually use it. And we're also going to talk about evaluating a Google source using what's called CRAAP. So the first part is using Google more effectively. So if I were to type in my research topic of Germany, you can see that in less than a second, I have gotten over 5 billion results. And that's a lot to look through. So there are some things that I can do when I am researching to kind of reduce that number and get some more credible as well as effective websites. So I'm going to start my search over. Okay, and I'll come back to this in a little bit. But what I want to show is here you can see that I have some tips written down. So the first thing is to use keywords, and we've been doing that since we started researching. We don't want to use full sentences. And this is going to be the only time that you hear a librarian say this, but you do have the ability to use Wikipedia if you want. How you use Wikipedia is you go to it, you read the first paragraph or two, and that can help you generate some keywords, and only to generate keywords about your topic. Wikipedia is not a citable source. We cannot use wikis. We'll go over why that is in a little bit, but this is a way that you can get more keywords, and we only search with keywords. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down to the next slide here, and another tip is to use quotation mark to group words together, because like we've talked about, when you type in multiple words, a search engine looks for each word individually. So if I were to search, I have an example here of Alexander Hamilton. If I were to search for this, Google would search for Alexander, and then it would do a separate search for Hamilton, and all of those results would be in my search results. But if I put quotation marks around it, like you see here, then it's going to search for Alexander Hamilton as one term. That's important because in a lot of things, if I search for Alexander Hamilton, there's a lot of people named Alexander, and there's a lot of people named Hamilton, but there aren't as many people with the name Alexander Hamilton altogether. Something else that you can do is you can use minus signs. Minus signs take out words you don't want in the search. So right now, there's a musical about Alexander Hamilton on Broadway called Hamilton. And when you search for Alexander Hamilton, you're going to get a lot of results that have to do with that musical. By taking a minus sign and putting the word theater and minus musical, it's going to get rid of any results where the word theater and musical appear. And that way I can focus more on his struggles as well as his successes. And that's kind of what I want. Even though the musical's about his life, I don't want the information about the musical. So minus signs can help me narrow down my search. If you are using keywords, quotation marks, and minus signs, and adjusting those as needed, you should be able to get to about 300,000. That's really a magic number for the most credible sources. Google is set up as a company. Its main thing is it wants to make money. They really don't care if you get good sources. And so we want to use those different tips and tricks like keywords, quotation marks, and minus signs to narrow down our search. We should also be able to get results that don't have any ads listed. You can see where it says ads on some of the results. For example, if I type in Alexander Hamilton, and this actually doesn't have any ads, so that's kind of nice, but usually you will see some results that say ad next to it, AD, and that's because those different sites paid Google to be one of the first few results listed. We don't want those, so you shouldn't have any ads. Then the last step of using Google is to evaluate the website with CRAAP. And here's what CRAAP stands for. Is it current? Is it relevant? Is it accurate? Was it written by an authority? Is the purpose to inform? That's what we want. So I'm going to play a little video that talks about CRAAP. and hopefully that will help you understand it a little bit better.
So today we're going to be looking at a tutorial on the 5 tips to evaluate a website. And we're going to be focusing on the CRAAP method. Have you ever heard of it? You see, the internet is full of information and ideas that were made up. Anybody can put anything on the internet, and you got to find what you can trust. So that's where the CRAAP method comes in. It's an acronym, and we're going to use it to help us. So what does CRAAP stand for? The C stands for currency, the R for relevance, first A, authority, second A, accuracy, and the P is for purpose. Now let's take a look closer at each of those. First comes currency. When was it last updated? You can usually find that on the top or the bottom. Is the information current, especially if you're learning about science or social studies? And do all the links work? The R stands for relevance. Is this really relevant to what you're doing? Is the information what you need for your assignment? And is it actually about your topic, like specific to what you're looking for, or does it just sound cool? Because if it just sounds cool, you probably need to move on. The next one's authority. Who's the author? Is the information biased? And what does the URL tell you? You know, an author that you take notes from should be an expert. You should be able to contact them and figure out what they do for a living on the webpage. So what does it mean to read a URL anyway? Well, the URL is the www.whatever for a website, and there's actually a lot you can learn from it. For instance, a .org is an organization or a group. A lot of kids think they can trust those, but not necessarily. Some terrorist groups are .orgs, so you gotta look closer. .gov means they come from the United States government, and usually you can trust those. .K12 means it's from an elementary, middle, or high school, and usually you want to move on from those. They probably don't have anything to do with what you're doing. Next is a .com. Those are commercial. They're trying to sell you something, so look closely and make sure you don't fall for a scheme. .edu is a college or university, and a lot of times they have good things to offer, but like any website, you gotta look closely, so check those URLs before you click. There's a couple of websites that you just can't use no matter what, and that includes Wiki Answers and Wikipedia. Wikis means they can be edited by anybody, so we gotta steer clear of those. Blogs are also people's online diaries, so we can't use those either. They're very opinionated. The next one down says Answers websites, and this is Yahoo Answers or Answers.com. Those are no good either. That's just like screaming out in the middle of public and seeing if anybody knows the answer. You can't trust what anybody will tell you, so you definitely have to steer clear of those too. So next we're going to take a look at accuracy. And that means, is the website trying to sell you something or convince you to believe in their side? Because if they are, then they're probably not being totally accurate. And you want to see if the information you see on this website matches what you found on other ones. Because if it does, that's a good sign, and it's probably legit. That brings us to purpose. Why did the author create the page? If he just did it to entertain you or to be funny or silly, then it's probably not something you want to use in research. By all means, watch cats playing the piano on your own time, but when you need to do research, you gotta find stuff that is actually for an academic purpose. Okay, good luck guys, and if you have any questions, come see me.
Okay, so I know that says see Mrs. Berger, but again, if you have questions, you will come see me instead. So that's basically how I expect you to use Google. And then the next lesson we do will be on how to evaluate a website and cite it. Because if you're going to use something from Google, we can't guarantee that that website is going to be credible like we could with Destiny websites, like we could with databases. We have to evaluate that website, and then we have to tell what we found on that website to make it credible. So that will be the next lesson that we do. So you need to know this information, because if you're going to use sources from Google, I expect you to use the Speaking Google techniques, keywords, finding that magic number, minus signs, quotation marks, all that stuff, and then you have to evaluate it for CRAAP. So just know if you're going to use Google sources, it's a lot more work, and that's kind of the gist of the lesson. So if you have questions, come see me. Thanks.